Hey guys, back in the garage. You'll never guess what we're working on. Another golf cart. This is my mother-in-law's golf cart, actually. We had this set up to do some of the steering and suspension bushings last year, but pretty much ran out of time before the season ended. But this front end clunks like crazy, so we're gonna get some new kingpins, new, what else? Tie rod ends, new bushings, all kinds of stuff. I was borrowing her cart to do our dethatching and using their spreader to get some stuff spread out in the lawn, and the cart was dirty, but I pretty much destroyed it now. So we're gonna get it cleaned up for the season, for get the battery compartment all cleaned up and make sure the batteries are topped off for the year. But this will be it doesn't really get much maintenance, so this will be pretty much the only work that we'll do to it all year, at least until the end of this season. Hopefully no surprises, and we'll get started on that front end. I thought this would be kind of cool to show you how bad these suspension parts can get if you don't keep up on the bushings. It needs those bushings down there really bad, but it makes tons of noise. The other side moves a little bit. I can't pull on it, but it's definitely loose in here. That's pretty bad. No bushings at all. The wheel bearing feels good, but you can see how much everything kind of clunks around. It needs everything. I wonder if we need to take the body off. I can't remember last time I did this, if I had to get to these bushings back here on the A-arms. I might have to get the front cowl off of this. So I got this 3/4 inch wrench on this jam nut, and you have to rotate it clockwise to loosen enough to get this tie rod end to spin off. The kit I bought has two of these part numbers, 7540, and there's another one that's just one that says 7539. So this tie rod end and the other one connected to the other side of this would be the 7540s, because those are the same. At least I think. I'm gonna check once I get this one out, but once you get that jam nut loosened and you get the end of this tie rod out of the arm right here, this actually spins right out. It's again clockwise. It's opposite of what you'd think it would be. So I'll get this out and then I'll try to fit that new one in here. I got the driver's side tie rod end off. So this is reverse the thread that you'd think it would be, just because of the end it threads into. The new ones don't come with a new jam nut here. So what I did was back this off to about where it was. I'm going to measure from the end of the jam nut to the center of this tie rod, which is about 1 3/4. So I'll get this nut put onto the new one about 1 3/4 inches off of the center of the new tie rod end. Okay, I got that twisted in there. My tape measure. So I don't have it snug yet, but measure that bolt to the center of that zerk. It's about 1 3/4 inches. So that should be pretty close. I'll get this nut tightened up on here and get that castle nut tight and the cotter pin put in there. And then I'll tighten down this tie rod and jam nut. And then that side should be set for that part anyway. I'll just take care of these on both sides first before everything else gets taken apart because I'll be dealing with this stuff for quite a while. Okay, we got some progress. We've got new kingpin, new bushing in the kingpin, new bushing in the bottom of the leaf spring. The shock is back on. The A-arm has new bushings lower here and in this end. The steering rod, steering shaft end is on. The steering link end is on. That's all snugged up. Right now, nothing's wiggling around. So I'm gonna get on the other side. Maybe I'll show you guys how I get the bushings out of the A-arms once I have it removed. Okay, I've gotten everything loosened. I got the 2 bolts out for the A-arm right here and right there. And this one off this bracket. So this A-arm can pull right out then. You don't have to try to change the bushings on this on the cart. So we'll put that over by the bench vise on the workbench. Now I got this kingpin here. You can get the nut and this bracket off. And everything should kind of fall apart here. You can see the front spring literally has no bushing. So those I change while the spring is in the cart. I don't take that out. But this kingpin should now just slide. Let's see if I can get you guys here. This kingpin will pull right out. Oh, it's just covered with grease. So get that out of there. So there's the old kingpin. Now I can get those bushings changed so that our new kingpin fits really nice in there. First I'll get this bushing in the end of this leaf spring. Here's the original center of the bushings that were in that section. So just match up your new one for length. Make sure you got that right. And what you'll do is, I think the easiest for me is I've got some silicone spray. Just get that a little wet down in there. And I'll take one bushing, put it in there, spray inside the bushing a little bit so I can put this center section into it. And then I'll get the other bushing on the other side. And sometimes you can get them. Oops, lost my bushing. You can get that pin tapped in and center the bushing on the other side. Then you kind of end up like this, where it's not fully seated. Let's see if we can get this channel locks. Then I'll take a channel locks and just try to finish the equation there so that this bushing sits flush to both sides of the spring. You can see that pin, the center section is not sticking out, so you won't run into problems with that for fitment later. I don't think there's a good way to take care of the bushings in these control arms while it's on the cart. You could probably do this end one where it meets the top of the kingpin, but putting it in a bench vise really works good. So you could take anything you want. Just start getting these out. Oh, that one popped right out. So you want to take a look at the bushings you knocked out of there. There's two short ones to go on the double connection point there. And then there's a longer one. This is the one that flew out, and this is the new one that'll go on this single end. So again, I'll just, if these are all corroded inside here, a lot of them get rusty, you could probably use like an emery cloth and try to get that cleaned up. These are actually really pretty clean inside. And again, I'll start with one bushing. And that's our long one. So I'll put just a little, you can put a squirt of that lithium on, or silicone on there. It shouldn't fight you so bad. Get another squirt on the other side, other bushing. Now I'll show you this one, so you don't have to watch me do the whole thing. But I've tried to take this and squeeze it in the vise, and it still doesn't get this bushing seated all the way. So I'll usually just put it on the anvil here and get that worked down, and now you have a new bushing in that end. So I'll do the same thing on this side to the other two, and then that should be ready to put away in the cart. Okay, let's start the reassembly. We can let's see here. I have my wiggly washer on the bottom of there. Put that in there. We need our oh, that's not good. Well, I got a little dirty. Missing a washer here. Not sure where I put it. Found the washer I was looking for. It's this guy right here. So we can take our kingpin, put it in here. We put our new washer there, and get this bracket just out here loose so the kingpin doesn't fall out again. So the kingpin bolts to the leaf spring. So let's get this situated. You might have to take like a small screwdriver and try to finagle this in here. Most of the time you can get it with some taps. Once you get it closer, you can take a screwdriver and pry it into this hole. Like this. Okay. And the bolt for that might as well get that in. Do I got the wrong bolt? Yep, I grabbed the wrong bolt. Okay. Let's get that one back out. That must be for the control arm. Yep, a little bit shorter. that one in there. Get the nut. I usually put the bolts in the same direction they were originally, just in case it would get, in case it's not fitting right. So you're basically just gonna kind of weasel this back in here. And this bracket has some play in it, so even if your bushings aren't seated all the way, you should still be able to get that to get those bolt holes lined up. And then we will, you have to put the front bolt in first, because it actually hits the back bolt. Close. This needs a little. Okay. Get this one in there. Okay. Get the nuts started. So we're just gonna get everything put in loose for now. You don't have to tighten it up. Okay. Now we'll get the end of the control arm into its bracket. Make sure I got my bolt here. And again, you might have to just tap on some of this to get it lined up a little better. Okay. All right. Okay, the shock, I didn't put the shock in yet, but the top mount's up there, so get that in there and get it mounted back to this arm, and I'll tighten everything up. But this is so much better than it was. That's pretty much it. Once we tighten it up, get the wheels on, we're done. All right, let's see how she does. Turn on. We're gonna go for a little cruise, and then we're going to, this thing needs air in the tires bad. There's no clunking, just the windshield rattling a little bit. That should feels pretty good. So we're gonna get the pressure washer set up, get this cleaned up, get the tires filled with air. We are all set. Not too bad. A couple hours when you got all the right parts. It's not that hard. I'll probably take those hubcaps off so I can clean the wheels a little better.